Hello there, boys and girls. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which state I happen to find you in. I'm coming to you today to talk about a game that's actually already been out for a while. That would be Far Cry Primal. Now, as many of you are probably starting to come to realize, I do like to take a few moments to talk to you before I launch into the reviews to discuss some things, because I've noticed that I picked up a lot of new followers lately, which is awesome. Not very many of you are following me on Twitter, so I have to resort to this to try and keep up to date with you guys. So basically what's going on here is I've been weighing in my mind back and forth for a while on whether or not to publish a review for Far Cry Primal, because this is a AAA title and most of the large reviewers and most of the big guys have already posted their reviews before the game actually launched, or at least on launch day. And because of that, me being a much smaller YouTuber is way behind, and the relevance of such things, decreases drastically over time because I have to pick these games up at the same time you guys do. And it takes some time to actually play through enough of the game to be able to warrant a justified opinion on the game as a whole. However, with the way things were going with Far Cry Primal, I decided that there was enough here that warranted my actually discussing with you guys. So we're going to go ahead and do this and actually do a standard SidAlpha Reviews format of Far Cry Primal. Okay, so here we are at the options menu, and it does have a pretty robust amount of selections. We have the gameplay with the aim assist or melee assist on or off, weapon aim, crouch type, on-screen menu, search animation, story recaps, interface, language, subtitles, reticle, detection meter, hit indicator, health indicator, bloody 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 blah, and more and more and more and more and more. Keyboard and mouse acceleration on or off, acceleration value, invert look on or off, mouse sensitivity, and customized controls. So here's where you're able to actually rebind your keys. So fully rebindable keys there, that's good to have. Gamepad. Apparently that's all there is for the gamepad. Video adapter, of course mine is a GTX 970. If you have multi-monitor display, you can choose which display resolution. I believe the maximum set on this is tied to your desktop resolution, as this game is able to go into 14:4 and 2K resolutions. So there is that. However, right now, of course, I don't have 4K monitors or anything like that, so I'm running at 1920 by 1080. Refresh rate 60. Window mode, VSync, graphics quality settings, and then of course you have a bunch of standard settings here: shadow, post effects, geometry, terrain, water, environment, anti-aliasing, which we have SMAA, FXAA, or off, volumetric fog, motion blur, so all of that is fine. Color settings, brightness, contrast, and gamma. And then we also have VSync and field of view scaling. Now, I would recommend not having field of view turned all the way up to 120. I would recommend turning around down to around 100 or so, because this game is right now is still not properly optimized, and there are some issues with it. So turning down that field of view scaling will help things out greatly there. Aside from that, we also have the audio options, which is just master volume and music on or off. That's actually a little bit bare, considering this is a voice-acted game. So I would be expecting a little bit more than that, and I did note a lack of colorblind option there, which is a shame. I really want to see colorblind be brought to more video games, and it's a shame it's not included more often. So there it is. There's a look at the options menus, boys and girls. And this is Far Cry Primal. I'm sure that many of you have played Far Cry in the past, but for the sake of this review, I'm going to assume you've never heard of the game before, because some people might feel left out or might not understand some things if I don't. So Far Cry Primal is an open-world action-adventure game with survival and FPS elements. You go through the game doing what you can to further improve the resources and standard of living for yourself and your tribe while battling against wild animals and a rival tribe that is bent on destroying you. Now, through the course of this game, you upgrade your tribe's resources, your weapons, and train animals to fight alongside you as loyal companions. So, I have to say, guys, that when the game first started, I immediately thought, now this is definitely a Far Cry game. Meaning that, yes, I was immediately sucked into the visuals as a whole. The developers did a wonderful job conveying the experience of being a caveman armed with nothing but a spear, fighting for survival when literally everything in the world is in a kill or be killed state. However, there are certain drawbacks in attempting to convey such a primitive time in this kind of format. Now, mainly, the first thing that struck me is the lack of meaningful technology. Of course, you're a caveman, which means the equivalent of what they had to work with was, here's your rock, here's your sharp stick, go nuts. Now, unfortunately, the length of the game requires a certain amount of variety in weaponry, or else it would get boring very, very quickly. And they attempted to stave that boredom off by introducing the bow and arrow, stink bombs, and magical sharp rocks in order to try and flesh out your weapon set. And for a while, you know, it kind of works, but in the end, the boredom and repetitiveness of the fetch quests and the needless grinding wear on you and will definitely start to take their toll. You know, you couple that with their reusing NPCs for minor quests, it really gives the game a much shallower feel than it should otherwise have. You know, with tons of repetitive fetch quests, rescue missions, and gathering of crafting materials artificially pad the game in a very uninventive and extremely iterative fashion. Ubisoft really did nothing to innovate in this game, and it clearly shows here, as after 20 hours of play, the senseless grinding got to be too much and I found myself drifting away, and my desire to go back and play more slowly grew less and less frequent until it finally stopped completely, leaving the game basically unfinished. Now, as for the graphics though, the game looks absolutely fucking gorgeous. Their use of lighting shifts during certain points in the story clearly show they know what they're doing in order to use visuals to help push forward the emotional impact of the story. Especially at the beginning. Beautifully rendered textures fill the world you're given to explore and make the game a joy in the beginning, as you really get this feeling that you're walking around in a world that's been untouched by modern technology. Unfortunately, though, the wonderful graphics underscored the many glitches of the game. It is full of stutters and frame rate drops in some areas that really show the game still needs some optimization. However, aside from those, the game was actually pretty stable. The only time I had a hard crash was during a time when I unfortunately had to tab out multiple times, and it proved to be too much for the game's coding. But that really shouldn't account for the game, you know, as it was multiple tab outs before the game actually started experiencing issues. And as for the story, well, the story starts off pretty interesting as your hunting pack is wiped out by a saber-toothed tiger and you're forced to find the remainder of your tribe and slowly gather them back together as they've been brutally assaulted by the Ul, Udam, and Azila tribes. And during all of this, you find out that your character, Takar, has the ability to tame wild animals. And this provides a powerful companion that will help you fight, track, and even find resources. Now, the story itself is interesting, except mildly bland in nature. You know, it offers no real surprises or even any standout characters, and they all tend to fade into the background and were pretty forgettable. So, to wrap up, guys, you know, Far Cry Primal, for what it is, was a lot of fun in the beginning, but it really drifted off after a while and just turned into a very grindy sort of game that just felt extremely boring to me, especially someone who likes to be a bit of a completionist in games. The sheer amount of mindless fetch quests and other minor things really start to wear on you after a while. And, you know, Ubisoft really did nothing to innovate this game, and it's clear here in this instance that it did definitely suffer for it. They tried the formula, I think, just one too many times, and hopefully they'll learn their lesson for next time. So, at this rate, you know, guys, I wouldn't recommend it at full retail. I would wait for the price to come down a bit or wait for it to go on sale. After that, it is still bear in mind a gorgeous game that, you know, started off being really fun, and if you don't mind the grindiness and the fetch quests, it could still be an interesting buy for you. So that was Far Cry Primal by Ubisoft. It is currently $60 or your original equivalent. It is available on Steam right now. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you coming out and taking a look at this video. Don't forget to punch all the buttons, do all the things, share with your friends, tell everyone I'm here. You guys have been beautiful so far. I love you. Thank you so much. I am the one, the only, the always, SidAlpha, and I will see you guys next time. Hi there, boys and girls. Thanks for checking my video out. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button and maybe even that subscribe button. Trust me, it works really good. Don't forget to share with your friends, and if you're interested in following me on Twitter and Facebook, the links for that are in the description down below. I also have a Patreon if you're interested in helping to support the growth of my channel, and the link for that is down below as well. And once again, thanks for watching and supporting my channel, guys. I really appreciate it.